it's Michelle from the Scattered Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. Today is day 2 of the best of the 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life, and our sketch today is a sketch by Suzanna Lee, and this one I think is going to be a lot of fun. I'm thinking that I'm going to make these triangles with some paper and not do mixed media. That was kind of my first thought, was to just kind of paint some stripes, but I really want to work on my 2020 album, and we did a trip to Savannah, Georgia, and I have got a ton of pictures, and I have been working through them, and I really want to get those done. So I have really kind of geared this series towards reaching the goal of trying to finish up these vacation pictures and working on my 2020 album, because I'm getting close to finishing, but haven't finished it just yet, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get it done so it can be on the shelf and I can move on to something else. Okay, so I've got this Simple Stories Sunkissed collection that I've got some papers from and the chipboard from, and then I have this Simple Pages, which looks like it's supposed to be to make like a quick page. They have a suggestion for you here, but I'm just going to use them for the die cuts, and we'll see how that goes. And then I have some Freckled Fawn Hearts, an Echo Part Enamel Dots, and some Paper Studio Pineapples. And this is a picture of my husband on the beach on Tybee Island. So that is what I'm gonna scrapbook today. So let's get started. Y'all, this is not a picture of my husband on Tybee Island. This is a picture of my husband on the beach at Gulf Shores. We did go to the beach at Tybee Island, and I do have a picture of him there, but this is not the one. So what I'm going to do here is decide exactly how much I want to cut this picture into a square. And I don't cut it exactly into a square because I actually really like the clouds in the background and I wanted to save as much of them as I could. So I get that cut how I want it, and I'm going to use this paper as my background. Since we're at the beach and he's in front of the waves, we're going to use waves as the background. And then I picked out these two papers to make my stripes with, or the little arrows pointing down. I did think about doing some mixed media for that, but I really want to get into this collection. I've had it for a little while, and I really want to break it out and use as much as I can. So I have this little tag here that I cut from the tag paper, and it says Sunkissed, and that's actually going to be my title. I know that my inspiration sketch has the title on the right hand side underneath the picture, but I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to use this tag. And then as I was kind of going through and really looking at the sketch, I noticed that the pictures are matted on another piece of paper. So I went looking for another piece of paper, and at first I was going to use the red striped paper, but there's so many geometrics in this with the wave pattern and the dot pattern and the heart pattern. I wanted something that was a little bit more, what's the word, kind of loose and not so rigid. So I went with the tone-on-tone flower pattern. Now here, I've left this in because I wanted y'all to see how I cut this paper. There is probably a much easier way to do it, and this did take me quite some time, so I have sped it up quite a bit here in just a second. And but I wanted y'all to see, this is how what I found was the easiest for me to cut this paper, because it's a directional paper, the hearts are all going in one direction, and I need to keep that. I can't just cut strips from the paper, as easy as that would have been. So what I have determined to do is I found the center of my background paper, and here I'm counting up the sides and down the sides to kind of gauge exactly where I want my, chevron, I guess it is, where I want it to end on each side of the paper. And I rule a line here, and I realized when I go to do the second part that I did not have my first line quite in the center, so I had to start over. But that's okay. That's why we use a pencil and eraser. So I remeasure it and take into account the width of my pencil, because we know that little pencil is a little bit fatter than where I had my ruler. So I have my first point made, and I go ahead and find the center of my paper here, and then I measure 2 inches up from the bottom point, and then 2 inches up from the left side, so that I can get a 2-inch wide chevron strip. And then I'm just going to take my trimmer here and line it up against these lines, so that I will have one continuous strip of paper that is my chevron point. And I'm really, really glad that the second paper that I picked is just a random splotchy dot. Because with that one, I can just cut a strip and go for it. So, and here I'm showing that I'm going to put this here and see how I can't cut just from the corner, because it's not going to work. So with this one having a random pattern on it, I can just cut a strip and make my chevron with just 2 strips. And this one I did, I think, now I can't remember if it's 1 inch or if it's 3/4 of an inch. I actually still have my ruler right here, and I can look. It's 1 inch. I cut them 1 inch. So I have a 2 inch and a 1 inch. And see here, I can angle these strips in such a way that they match my first chevron. And I can move them around how I need to. And here I've got my mat cut. And now I'm just going to glue down my first chevron and make sure that I have it in the right spot. I still have that little center dot that I put on the paper, so I know where to put the point. And then I make sure I get one side even, so then I can make sure that both sides are even. And then just get rid of my little pencil mark there with my little white eraser. I really like the white eraser. That particular one I'm using is it Statler or Stadler? Just a white plastic eraser. Let's see. Well, it says it's phthalate free and latex free, so that's good for people with latex allergies. You can use that eraser. Okay, so now I have got my strips down so that my chevron is all like I want it to be. And I decided to put the blue one on the bottom because it feels a little heavier than the yellowy orange one. So that, to me, that kind of helps make the layout feel anchored, to have that. It's a little bit heavier towards the bottom. And here I'm putting some foam onto my label to pop it up a little bit. And I'm using some baker's twine that is, it's not white, it's more like a cream, and it has a gold metallic, a little metallic gold string that wraps around it. So I have a little bit of a glint and a glimmer like the sunshine that reflects off of the waves. And here I'm just putting this in the middle and looking to see if it's level, and no, it wasn't quite level, so I had to fix it. We don't need that to be wonky, but we do want this tag to be kind of at a jaunty angle. So here I am setting it in place. And now I'm thinking, what do I want to use to embellish it? So I'm going to pull out all my options that I had pulled out. And every time I open up a Simple Stories chipboard, the chipboards fall out. So I went ahead and tried the little van, but that didn't really kind of work. But I like this little beach chair. So I put the beach chair there, and I'm going to build a little scene here around this tag. So I have the beach umbrella, and I have the SPF 50 sunblock. And I need SPF 50 when I go, because as white as that sand is, I'm probably whiter, at least on my legs. I have some color on my arms now because I've been out in the garden for a few weeks here, so I've gotten some sun on my arms, but whoo, I've been wearing my pants because the bugs are taking me away. But I need to put on some shorts so that my poor little legs can get some sun with my along with my arms. But I've got a really awesome farmer's tan going, at least on my arms. So I was feeling like this cluster was, feeling a little skimpy. It needed something to really help build it up and ground it at the same time, if that makes sense. So I found on the sticker sheet this little floral cluster, and I just thought that would be perfect to help kind of anchor my little scene here. And I put this second little flower here to fill the rest of that out, and now I'm really liking it. I think it's so cute. And I'm going through the die cuts, and because in the sketch since there is something on the right hand side, I feel like I need to put something on the right hand side just to kind of balance it out a little bit. And actually, I'm just now realizing that I basically just flipped the sketch a little bit as far as my embellishments go. I have my title in the bottom left instead of the bottom right, and I have this little cluster in the top right instead of the top left like that little heart is. So that's what I did. I meant that from the very beginning. I meant to flip the sketch. I just mirrored it. So, you know, that's what I meant to do. So here I'm building this little cluster here, and I'm using this little floaty sticker as my cluster base, and then I am using these pineapples. These things are so cute. I just love them so much. So I am picking out the ones that I want to use, and I picked this one to go behind the little deck chair because it has stars on it, but they look a little bit more like starfish to me, so I'm like, that's perfect. So I put that one there. And then this orange one, I wanted to move it over just a little bit, so thankfully it didn't tear up my picture. So I moved it over just a touch, and here I'm wanting so desperately to use these hearts. They are so adorable. I love their little kind of wonky shapes, and the different sizes and the colors I think are perfect to go with this collection. But I can't decide exactly where I want to put them, so instead I'll do something else. I'm like, I'll just go ahead and put my big cluster scene down because I know that I want all these things here. So I'm putting a little bit of foam tape behind the umbrella because it's on top of my popped up tag. And then I'm figuring out where I need to put the foam up underneath the deck chair so that it can be on the same level. because it's sitting on top of the tag. And I have to cut a little bitty strip to go along the bottom because I want to make sure that it has a good foundation and it doesn't bend or get crushed. And I could put another piece down, but because it's sitting on top of the pineapple, I think it's got enough support. So I just put that down, and I had to trim off the pole of my umbrella so that everything would lay flat. And here I'm using another piece of foam to put up underneath the sunblock. And then I'm going to pop up my little seagull here. And that's just a die cut, so I'm going to use this whole little foam rectangle thing and stick under there. I'm making sure that it'll fit just fine, and it does, so I can stick him down too. The little seagull is so cute. So I'm really, really liking my cluster here, but then I'm thinking, okay, now I got to go back and work on this smaller one up in the right-hand corner. So I'm thinking, well, I've got flowers on the left-hand side, and as Miss Janet from RTS Scrapbooking says, when you don't know what to do, look at what you've already done. So I already have flowers on one side, so it's logical to put flowers on the other. So I just put a little smaller one there, and I like how it kind of tucks into the leaves of the pineapple. And the same with the point of the heart. It kind of tucks down in between the leaves of the pineapple. And since I have hearts on the right-hand side, I need to put hearts on the left-hand side. Well, I don't need to, I just want to. So I go ahead and I put some hearts there. And I just think that's so cute. Oh, see, that fills that little spot in so good. And I fiddle with the twine, but I'm not really... I thought about gluing it down, but I kind of like it just kind of flopping around there, so I'm just going to leave that like it is. I know I want to use some enamel dots, and I go ahead and decide to use these really dark blue ones from this enamel dot set because they're sitting on top of this light blue paper, so I really think that they pop. And it just brings a little bit more of that blue into the layout other than just my strip of paper with the hearts on it. And then I thought, well, do I need to use these other ones? Will they disappear on top of this blue paper? But I go ahead and put them on anyway, and they kind of disappear in the film, but when you see it in real life, you can see them pretty well. And then I find this little bitty die-cut flower, and it just fits perfectly in this little gap between the bigger flower and the pineapple. But its border is a little bit too wide for me, so I got to trim it down. I'm not one that likes the really big, wide white borders. I have to trim those off. I like the smaller white borders. So I just glue that down, and I'm looking where the title is in the sketch. I still feel like I need to put something in that corner of my photo. So I'm looking back at the sticker sheet at the little words, and I pick out several of these little word stickers, and I'm going to place them down. And by the time I get to the last one, I decide I don't want to leave them as a rectangle. I want to put a little banner on, cut them as a banner. So when I get to this last one, I decide to put a little fishtail banner on both sides. And since I did that one, I got to pick up the other ones and do them too. So this one here that I have in my hand says, "So happy with you." The orange one says, "Play all day." And then the really light blue one at the top says, "Time for vitamin C." And of course, C is spelled S-E-A. So now I've got all of my word stickers with the fishtail banner, and I pick it up and like what I see. So that's gonna do it. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying the 30 days of sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. Be sure and check out all the links below. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for day 3. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.